everybody to today's Empower People course, Stress Management Tips for the Workplace. Who knows why we have to have a course about stress in the workplace? Just kidding. Who doesn't? I mean, it would be nice to say that none of us have ever experienced stress in the workplace, but most of us do, at least sometimes, right? But today we're offering you this course to get your year started right off. And our advisor today is Dr. Susanna Wu-Pong Calvert. So let's thank her for helping us alleviate some of our stress in the workplace. If you could go to the next slide, Susanna, that would be great. If everyone could say the Empower People oath with me, that'd be fantastic. I, Tiffany Joy Green, do solemnly swear to accept a lifelong obligation to hone my superhero powers and apply those superhero powers to the good of the people I serve. I will promote and add to the ongoing success of Empower People, its members, and the people, organizations, and communities it serves. I will help prepare the next generation of superheroes. I am driven to be a positive change agent for those I serve and interact with. And let's just take one moment, hands on the hips, look off into the distance. We call this superhero pose, and it literally makes you feel really good, like you can conquer the world and do anything you would like to do. Is this good for stress?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So now I'm going to pass it to Susanna.
Okay, hello. Thank you for letting me share the platform today with the community. So today we're going to discuss the roots of stress, identify stress management strategies, and practice reducing stress. And these are generic practices. And so what I'm going to do is just suggest that you practice them at work. You encourage people around you to practice them at work or similar strategies. And you support that effort as much as possible, because if we're all going to be working as a team to reduce stress in the workplace, then it can benefit everybody in a synergistic way. So you will need something to write with. I'm going to wrap this up with some exercises for us to practice with. Okay, so who am I? So I don't like to list the usual resume thing, but I did focus on building my resume for most of my early part of my life, and I was pretty stressed and unhappy. So I went in search of a different approach to life and realized that my stress was internally generated. It wasn't so much a result of what was happening outside of me. And so when I really dug into this internal journey and discovered myself and my beliefs and my habits of mind and behavior, and got that all under control, I discovered that a part of me really wanted to be a nonprofit entrepreneur. So that's what I'm doing. And our platform offers these healing and self-awareness behavioral skill courses. And our learning platform helps us to discover what's most important in our lives under the should-hood, like all these beliefs: I should, I have to, I must. So, but today we're going to talk about stress in the work, why we get stressed. So just to boil it down, we get stressed because we are not being in the present moment. So in other words, at least I did, but many of us, while away much of our life, either worrying about the future, what's coming, what might happen, and what may never happen, honestly, and or feeling bad about the past. We're angry, we're sad, we're depressed. So between the two, stress, anxiety, worry, grief, depression, anger. But if we were to boil this down and spend more of our time focusing on this very present moment, we can focus on the only thing that's really true. And that's what's happening in this very moment. We're breathing, our heart is beating, we're fed, we're clothed. Hopefully everybody's warm enough. Nobody's bleeding or about to die in this moment. So, and when we remember that the quality of our life is determined by how much attention we pay to this very moment, we can radically transform our lives. I'll give you just a really quick personal example, because I had this moment in my life, and I already told you I was pretty type A and wound up earlier. But I had gotten 2 medical tests back which were both really concerning, like in the same day or within a couple of days of each other. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Oh my God, I'm going to die. And so my choice was to either just freak out, which would have been my usual comfort zone, or to just sit there and go, okay, but right now I'm fine. Right now I have everything I need. And I realized that I could decide in each moment how I'm going to focus my attention and then create the quality of life that I want. Because when we give away our power, because that's what we're doing, we're giving away our power to fears that may not manifest, or past events that may be an incomplete story. We're giving away the best part of our lives and our energy and our health. So we know that stress can have a number of effects. I'm going to read through these, and then maybe after we do the Q&A, you can share if there's anything I missed here. We could waste time, waste our peace of mind, and waste our energy. The research also shows that we have a decreased lifespan, chronic disease, and we're slower to heal. We have a lower quality of life, and we have impairment in our mental, emotional health and our cognitive abilities. And we can be more likely to be in conflict and in challenging relationships. And all of this is in the literature. And in fact, even before the pandemic, sorry about the barking, the American Psychological Association raised the alarms to say America is in a mental health crisis. And this was just due to stress and the data collected before the pandemic. So you can only imagine what it's like now. Okay, so your choice is whether you keep doing this or you change your mind. All right, so what to do about it? I'm going to go through this list slowly and maybe take some notes if there's something that rings your bell that you go, okay, I might want to focus attention on this. All right, again, I'm focusing on what you can do individually. You might also think about what could be done in the workplace to support the mental health of the people you work with. You might be doing these things already, or at least know about them. Sleep, exercise, nutrition, check. Creative outlets. Are you finding time for creative expression or enjoying the creative works of others? This is really good for your stress. Are you laughing and using humor enough? Are you getting out in nature as much as you could? That could benefit you. There's a great link between spending quality time in nature and our well-being. Maybe you should really reduce that screen time and news. Probably just cutting down or out the news will make a big difference. And social support. Are you seeking social support? Are you willing to make yourself vulnerable enough to ask? That was always my issue. Okay, so some of these things you might be avoiding. Mindfulness. I put this at the top of the list because not being in the present moment is a huge contributor to stress. And I think the importance cannot be overstated. It doesn't have to be a meditation practice like you sit there and watch your breathing. I hated that. I still do. But there's a million ways that you can have a mindfulness practice. And I like the moving ones like Tai Chi or mindful hand washing, mindful walking. So explore, you can find something that works for you. I'm not going to go through all these in great detail. Most of them are self-explanatory, so I'll just read through. Journaling and reflection. Setting your boundaries and asserting yourself kindly and firmly. Relaxation techniques, and some of these we're going to practice today. Therapy, go early and often. I love therapy. Everybody should be in therapy at some point in their lives. Time management and prioritizing what's most important. And reframing your circumstances. Again, is anybody bleeding, hemorrhaging? Are you under a direct threat of life or death? If the answer is no, then you're probably fine. So be present. Okay, so hopefully maybe you had a couple of ideas of things that you might like to explore a little bit later. I'd like to talk about this idea of reality, and that we may not remember things as our stories may not be complete. And this is actually a huge issue, because what science tells us is that we take a lot of mental shortcuts, because otherwise we would be overwhelmed with making the smallest of decisions. Even just like walking or breathing or eating would require our entire attention if we did not have some of these shortcuts and habits. The problem is that we have literally hundreds of them. I last looked, and there were like 200 of these shortcuts, which have been identified so far, which means that the shortcuts mean that we're making errors, and we might be having bias in how we're viewing the world or ourselves and our judgment. So if we have 200 of these at least, and everything that we think we know and perceive and decide is fraught with these errors and biases, the question is are we perceiving anything accurately at all? So this might feel a little overwhelming, but it can also be freeing, because to me, it says, well, there's no way to know anything for sure. And that also means I still have to try to make the best decisions I can. There is no perfection possible here. So the research also shows that it is helpful to slow down when making important decisions. So most of the things I'm going to go on habit. That's great. But for important decisions that have major implications, it's best to slow down, try to gather as much information as you can, and be deliberative in your thinking process and your assessment and evaluation. Okay, so the other thing that this implies is be humble. Like going around with an openness, I may be wrong, what am I missing? This type of humility can help you gather information more accurately, and therefore make better decisions and be more flexible and adaptive as things change, because everything always changes. Okay, so just knowing that you can't know everything, you should just do the best you can, slow down on important decisions, can help actually improve your ability to make good choices. All right, I'm only going to discuss like 3 or 4 of these cognitive biases and errors. I think this will also help. So I picked the ones that I think that can be the most problematic and common. So first is confirmation bias. This occurs when we only notice information that confirms our belief, and then we ignore refuting evidence. I think this is why we are in such a polarized political climate, honestly. So if we know that, gosh, maybe I'm missing something, then we could be more open to find maybe a more balanced, accurate belief or perspective. The next 2, pessimism and being unrealistic or perfectionistic, are really 2 ends of the same spectrum. One says, everything's terrible, awful, unsafe, people are bad, my life is terrible, et cetera, et cetera. And while that may be true to some degree, if the more we dwell in that space, the research says that we are less likely to be successful and more likely to be depressed and stuck. Because if we think everything's terrible and we're helpless, then we're not going to try. We're not going to learn and grow. We're not going to push ourselves. But if we are more on the optimistic side, then studies show that we're more likely to be successful, we're more likely to have a good life and be thriving. Now, either way, we don't want to err on the side of the extremes. I'm not saying that we should all become Pollyannas and everything's wonderful no matter what. Okay, I'm just saying that being somewhere in the middle, well, things are challenging and hard, and things are also good and possible. So being somewhere in the middle, and if I were to err on one side or the other, I might err on optimism, maybe 55% instead of the other way around. Okay, that will just give us a little bit of an emotional edge, because the more we can find a way to feel good or better about a situation, the more likely we are to perform well, have all of our cognitive functions and abilities in play, and so on. Okay, so without being unrealistic. All right, so this other one is polarity thinking. This is a big one. Again, it's sort of seeing things in one of two ways. So when we're using polarity thinking, we will see things as either 100% true, 100% false, or completely right, completely wrong, completely good, completely bad, safe or unsafe, loved or unloved, worthy, not worthy, I must, I should, I have to, I will always, I will never, etc. Okay. The problem with that is that there's not a lot of room for nuance or wiggle room. And it tends to keep us stuck. So if I'm just always being Pollyanna-ish, everything will turn out. Well, we also need to anticipate and solve problems and take action. And the other extreme, everything's terrible, I can make no difference in the world, same problem. Okay. So the truth, if we could really call it that, is probably somewhere in the middle. Most things have some of each of these sides. And remember that we're a terrible judge of things. There are 200 or so cognitive errors and biases that we know of. So our ability to accurately assess is pretty low. So you might as well find the middle ground and put yourself in the place that will give you the best chance for success and reducing your stress. Okay, so we're going to address some of these in the exercises at the end. Just checking my time. Okay, so solutions, I already talked about mindfulness, but there's also just this place of being more in the middle, like avoiding the confirmation bias and the extremes of either optimism and pessimism, being more realistic and balanced, looking for the both ands. Well, there's an aspect that is true and false. There's an aspect that is both good and bad. I know that my biggest challenges in my life have been my biggest opportunities for growth. And so good and bad, if I am willing to make the good out of it. Be open and flexible, err on the side of optimism, and satisfy. So that means don't do things to the extreme or to perfection, because that actually negatively impacts your health and well-being. Instead, for the things the parts of your life that you can, aim for good enough. It's called satisficing. Remember that life is fairly incomprehensible. We have so many biases and errors, and to operate within your locus of control. Know what you can control, know what you can't, know that, and then work within the areas that you can make changes. And practice acceptance for everything else. Sometimes we have to just make the best choice we can and respond accordingly, and keep an open mind and keep our chins up and our hopes up. And to also remember to focus on what is important, whether it's urgent or not urgent. Be aware of how much time you spend wasting on things that don't matter. So that's where that screen time comes in. Or even arguing about things where we have all of the, like, how do we know what's true? Like, why do we argue? Let's discuss and discover the different perspectives, but we know very little for sure. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes. That's perfect. I'd like to go into our practices. Now, these are just some samples. I want to offer these to you to just try them on. You can pick up any or all of them or do your own experimentation. Again, it's a big, vast world out there. Find what works for you. Okay, so I'm going to just pause and have you identify one thing you're worried about. So whatever you're writing with, just jot down a sentence or so, and it can be top of mind. Don't overthink it. Just the first thing that comes to mind, just write it down. We're going to focus on that. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to do 3 exercises, and we're going to get underneath this thing because that's where the yummy stuff is. This is where you can discern what's important to you and where to go with it. All right, so I'm going to ask you for 2 minutes that you just write whatever comes to mind. It's a brain dump. You're going to throw it out or you're going to erase it afterwards. It doesn't matter what you write. Do not edit it. Do not overthink it. Just whatever comes to mind, just write it down on whatever you're writing with. Okay, so begin. Just write whatever comes to mind. Okay, that was 2 minutes. So now we're going to shift to the second exercise. This is called 4-7-8 breathing. We're going to do 10 cycles of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to inhale, and I'll say in, and we'll count to 4. You're going to hold your breath for 7, and I'll say hold as we count to 7. And then you're going to exhale for 8, and I'll say out, and I'll count to 8. Okay, so we're going to do 10 cycles of this. So I'll just walk you through it. So ready? In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so hopefully you're feeling a little clearer now. So now we're going to do a guided meditation, and it will also be about 2 minutes. And if you'll just follow my instructions, we're going to get to some clarity about your worry. Okay, so put your feet flat on the floor and sit straight up in your seat. Feel the weight of your hips on your chair, and just allow yourself to feel heavy as you sit on your chair. Now imagine that you have a string attached to the top of your head, and it's gently supporting your weight such that when you move the string, have it such that your head is right over your neck, which is right over your spinal column, which is right over your hips. So adjust it so that you feel like your spine and your head are straight, but also relaxed. And you're going to just allow that string to hold you up. And you're going to just allow every bit of your body to be heavy and relaxed. And you just feel any tension and tightness from your body just releasing. And you're going to imagine a golden column of light from your seat and around your hips, all the way down. Send it all the way down into the fiery core of Earth. And any tightness or tension or worry or stress that's in your mind or in your body, any worries, any pain or tightness that's remaining, just send that down that golden column of light. And so you just feel clear and relaxed, and soft all around. And just allow yourself to feel the yummy energy that surrounds you, beautiful energy of Earth and the sky, ground and trees, all of nature around you. Let that fill you up. And now you're going to ask for clarity on this worry you have. You're going to ask your body, ask your heart, ask your gut. What do you need to know about this? What's most important about this that you need to know? And just spend 20 or 30 seconds just feeling in or listening or knowing what's most important for you here. Okay. So that took about 6 minutes, 6, 7 minutes. And just notice how you're feeling now. Your level of stress and clarity.
Kind of feel a little high.
Yeah, well, oxygen can be very intoxicating. And oftentimes when we're stressed, we're holding our breath.
Yeah.
And we're depriving our body and brains of oxygen. And so, I feel that this is our natural state of breathing and feeling ecstatic. When we're in the moment and we're feeling this good, just imagine your ability to perform. This is where your best life happens. This is where your best performance happens. So the implications of this in our lives and workplaces is huge. We're absolutely in control of the quality of our state of mind and our state of being. And so, again, these are just some suggested practices. There's a million breathing strategies. There's a million mind clearing strategies. There's a million meditations. But if you like this one, you can practice it. You can fiddle with it, do them in larger or smaller portions. You can go back to this video and replay it, whatever you like. But you are in control of whether you're focusing your attention in the present moment and the quality of that attention. And so when you make yourself a priority to provide this space and clarity and clearness for yourself, you can really improve your quality of life, your health, your productivity, your happiness. And especially if you add some of these beliefs, these practices around these cognitive biases and errors. So this is a sample of what we offer on our platform at healingedu.org. So a lot of this we have in our relationship well-being course, navigating anxiety, and other courses. We have one on forgiveness and using EFT tapping to manage change. And it just goes on and on. It's this wonderful spectrum from fragility through flourishing. And we have, just specific to this topic, a new mindfulness course coming this spring. So thank you so much for your attention and joining us today. Thank you, Tiffany. And if this is a good time to transition to questions, I'd love to continue that part of this session.
Well, thank you, Susanna. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to thank everybody on Facebook for watching. If you are not an Empower People member, you want to join, go to empowerpeople.org/join and join today for free. That way you can take part in the Q&A session. So I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody in Facebook land, and the folks here will continue on. So just give me a moment while I disconnect Facebook.